Welcome to Illustrator and vector graphics. This is an understanding of how vector graphics and Bezier curves work. So I'm just going to introduce this a little bit, and then they're going to go in depth with what typography and how vector graphics work. So vector graphics are one of the most diverse and used typographics on the internet and around the world. So before, you guys know that we were using raster graphics. So in this case, we're actually going to be using vector graphics. They are geometric descriptions that are rendered smoothly on any display size. So instead of having a raster graphic of those pixel graphics, it's a geometric point in the screen that has to know where that point is instead of the image where it contains. So if you've ever seen any vector type or any type in general, you're able to scale it up and scale it down. That raster graphic would not allow you to do that. Instead, you have to use this vector graphics. This is a raster representation of what a pen tool looks like in your Adobe Illustrator program, which we'll be covering later. So Bezier curves are based on a bunch of geometric math that I don't know about and I don't need to know about, but I do need to know, and you need to know how to manipulate them. And they're referred to as paths because that path is a vector graphic. It's how we construct those objects. So we have handles, anchor points, and what is happening, right? So we have our number 2 is a anchor point, and number 1 is a handle. You click here and drag this out to create a handle. This is the path. You will not see everything in blue in this object. So in this case, this is my letter G here. It's been vectored, so you can see all the different objects, how they are constructed. When you see the G now in its entirety, you can see the actual object, and you can see just the vector anchor points and control points, which are called handles. So text is very complicated, and thus we will not get into it yet. But for right now, just know that text is vector graphics, and that's why you started off with your activity in the beginning of class. So when we go into this, we will, you can see all the different vector anchor points here. This is Adobe Illustrator, and you can see that we have all of our vector graphics objects expanded upon so that you can see all of the different handles and anchor points exposed to those objects. So that was the end of the presentation parts. Hopefully you understood the handles, anchor points, and paths and how they play an integral part of what you need to do to make an object or a logo in this case. So we're gonna move and switch gears to the game. This is the game that you should be starting, and what will happen is that this is a letter shaping game, so you try to match what the letter looks like. So this is a handle. I'm going to pull that handle down to match what the object was made. So in this case, I'm going to look at my Shift area or my Alt area for a quick preview. Shift is here, so I'm going to hold Shift. I'm going to make that completely horizontal and bring that shape out to where I think it should be. I'd say most likely around there. And I'm going to hold Shift again to get a horizontal line. And I'm going to say that's my final result. So in this case, I got 95%. Not too shabby. So you go through all of these objects. To understand how these letters work and why they're so important. Holding Shift. I like to keep those parallel. Those objects are parallel with the other handle. You see that handle right here? We're going to make that object parallel to create the line or this path. Looks pretty good. Ooh, pretty low. Also in here, you can see all of the different typefaces that have been used. FF Dax by Hans Reichel. I'm just going to speed this video up for the sake of time. You can see my workflow. You can see everything I'm doing, trying to get those handles straight and to keep the most consistent and the most perfect shapes possible. As you wrap up your last shape, you'll see the screen come up of the total score. Just take a screenshot of that with Command Shift 4 on a Mac. And if you're on a Chromebook, it's Control Shift and then the Windows switcher key as a bunch of windows in that top bar. Anyway, that is the game for starting your handles and anchor points. We're going to switch gears here to the other game. Now, since we are starting another game here, this game is important because you can no longer just drag out the handles to go one place or the other. You actually have to create it yourself. So it's more closely based on Adobe Illustrator's pen tool, again, which we'll get in class later. You head on over to the Bezier game and you go through all of these guys to figure out what your objects will be. So in this case, we're going to just drag that out. So click that once, and it'll tell you here just to click it here. I'm going to hold Shift so that it doesn't go anywhere. It's 90 degrees. And I'm going to hold Shift again and finish that shape. So now it's telling you to hold Shift to go at 45, 90, 90, and 45. So I'm going to do that again here. 90, 90, 90, and 45. These demos are actually pretty powerful because they kind of show you what's happening before you have to do it. So pay attention very carefully to how they're showing you how this works. It's very important. This also tells you how to drag these out to match your handles. I'm holding Shift there. Okay, here we go. Pull that handle out. Just matching those handles there. And then great. So you're going to hold Alt while dragging. So this is a hard one. This one took me a while. So you're going to drag this out, right, to here, right? And then when you're holding Alt, that allows you to pull this out. But I don't want this way. So I'm going to hit Command and Z on a Mac or Control Z on my Chromebook. So I'm going to hold, again, click and drag this out, lining up to this guy. Hold Alt, click. I'm just going to drag that to here. Drag this guy out. Then when I'm comfortable with that, I hold Alt and figure that guy there. And I'm just going to lock this one there. And you would go through each of these objects to create those Bezier curves. So you can see Command Z on a Mac is undo, Command Shift Z is redo, and Command X is clear stage. So I'm just going to go through each of these and clear the stage. So select here, 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 here. Holding Alt, make that a little smaller. That a little smaller there. Just drag that guy out. So you go through all of those till you get to the end. Once you finish this last Bezier curve shape, you're finished. That's all you gotta do. Screenshot that and turn it into me on Schoology. Thank you.